what makes you great or what makes you stand out is the fact that you yield that superpower, so to speak, without even thinking about it. So I'm active duty military. I love what I do. I've been doing it for 14 years, going on 15 years. And people like that's my focus. So that's my Bruce Wayne life. And then I always tell people my Batman life is me as a content creator. So I'm a music artist. I'm an established music artist and content creator. I've had the privilege of having my work placed in commercials, TV shows. Like I've had my music placed in Gatorade commercials and Apple Music TV series and like All American, the TV show, and Good Trouble. So I've had the opportunity to do some pretty cool things. But in the midst of that, like in through that, where you have almost two different worlds. You got the military side where you've got very structured. You got talks on resilience and leadership, and then you have the music side, the content creation side of me, which is very much entrepreneurial and creative. And oftentimes people feel like they have to pick one. And so for me, like my entire focus when it comes to my workshops or my keynotes is very much talking about, hey, how do you not only bring the best version of yourself to your job, to your, say, family, your relationships, while also balancing that with you having this passion for a particular industry. So it might be the music industry, it might be in education, it might be in your faith, in your religion, whatever that might be. And so for me, I just go to groups, I go to leaders, I go to teams, and I help them almost better recognize how they can bring themselves to work, to their community, et cetera, while also going like, hey, let's figure out better ways so that you can fine tune what you're doing and help me or allow me to help you reach other people. So that started me on a path to start a platform called Create Force. It's spelled CRE, the number eight. And basically, it's just focused on equipping leaders and entrepreneurs with the tools they need to have genuine conversations there with their organizations and their work centers. And the cool thing about it is that create the way that it's spelled with the eight represents the eight pillars that make you the best version of yourself. And so that's what primarily my keynote, my primary keynote is focused on, what those eight pillars are. And they're focused on you, the person. Because if you as the person is not okay, not good, not strong, not healthy, not empowered, then you're not going to be as effective when you go out to try and make an impact on people. So that's kind of like just me in a nutshell. I feel like there's a lot more, but that's like the condensed version. And that's my focus, man. Like that's my main focus.
I love that. Well, yeah, I'm sure that's the condensed version of who you are, right? That's the point at which now you are from all the things that have come in the past, leading you to this point to be, right? Is
Yeah.
that fair to say? So
No,
with
absolutely. Absolutely.
and so my sense was correct in a lot of ways in terms of the things that I feel like we're helping people realize and understand. And when you talk about helping somebody or a business or organization learn the things that they can do to show up the way you're talking about, the best version of themselves, and that you have the eight pillars, is there a specific process everybody goes through, or is there just depending on kind of an individual's needs where you might start in those pillars to get them from, gap one to gap two? And keep
Yeah.
on proceeding.
Yeah, that's fair. I primarily it would go off needs. The first thing I pay attention to is, okay, am I talking to an individual or an entire team? I go there. And then probably second on that list is, okay, what industry are they focused in? Is this just like a personal growth thing? Is this they're trying to build up their aspiring new leaders within a team? Or are they saying, hey, I'm trying to be a business owner, or I'm trying to write my first book, or I'm trying to do this, and I feel like I can't balance it all, or I can't figure out why I keep starting and stopping, or whatever it is. So I like to figure out like who is the person I'm talking to, or team I'm talking to, what industry are they in, and then what can I actually help them with? Because I don't want to also sell people on something that I don't have experience in. And I think that's a part of leadership too, being able to say, having the courage to say, hey, courage is there are two ways of courage. There's courage of speaking up when you feel like you need to stand up for something, but there's also having enough courage to say, like, I'm not built for this situation, right? And kind of like guiding someone to someone you might know that actually can help them. So I start there, and then I ask them, hey, what do you want? Like, where are you trying to get? And in some cases, people don't know how to answer that. Or they give me an answer that they think I want to hear from them. I'm like, no, 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 no. Forget about me. This isn't even about me. This is about you. Like, what do you want? And in the case, sometimes people say, I don't really know yet. I have like surveys and other things that I use to help them get closer to that. Um, and it's an exciting thing for me, you know, helping people go on a journey to better find themselves so that they can feel empowered to go to do the things that they're super passionate about.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Path to fulfillment, right? Well, that's fantastic. So since we met, what has been the things that have changed? What became more clear from that experience, and how is that experience something that you're implementing what you learned there, or even just
Yeah.
experienced from there? Not necessarily learned tactic wise, but conceptually also.
Yeah, man, to be honest with you, two things stuck out. One was a little more like obvious to me that I just felt like I needed to implement more, but the other was almost a little sneaky that like I didn't kind of like expect. The one that I did expect, which is the networking piece, the power of connection, the power, that's what I'm looking for, the power of community. Like that to me stood out the most because I think sometimes when there are things that you want to accomplish and there are things that you want to do, it's easy to go like, how am I going to do this? Man, I feel lonely. I this, I that. And sure, you are the one putting in the work, you're the one doing the research and all that other stuff, but like your progression or how good you get has a lot more to do with what's surrounding you, right? The community around you. Who are those people either pushing you, giving you feedback, loving on you when you make a misstep? So for me, like that was one of them, was definitely community and allowing other people to pour into you and you not always feeling the pressure that you always have to give. That was one. And the one that was kind of sneaky was really just standing in your power. I had said something to the group and it didn't really hit me hard until later, which it still catches me off guard to this point. I'd said essentially like, hey, the power of your voice is stronger than the fear that's in your head. And sometimes like we get fearful when we recognize that we're good at something. Or we get fearful when someone says, "Hey, you're not bad," or like, "You helped me out," or "Our whole team remembered what you said last week," or like, "That helped me get through something." Like, we get fearful of that moment because it's almost like we found out we had a superpower and we're almost scared that we're going to hurt others or destroy a town with that superpower. Uh, when the truth is, what makes you great or what makes you stand out is the fact that you yield that superpower, so to speak, without even thinking about it. Like there are some people that are naturally caregivers. They don't think about it. That's who they are. There's certain people in an office where you're like, man, that person's so empathetic or so understanding or so strong. They're so bold. They're so this, but that's just who you are. You're not trying to be that. And so what I took out, which I thought was really like sneaky in a way, which is man, when we're walking in who we already are, everything else will work out. Like doors that are meant for you will only be open for you when you're walking in who like you truly are and you're like living a life that's truly authentic. So those two things stood out to me, just the power of like connection and networking and also the sense of like owning who you are and owning your strengths and what you do.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love what you said there. And of course, connection brings me back to how I felt about our time today. Having this opportunity to spend with you and then just have this conversation, you know, and carve out some time to do that because that certainly was, you know, the experience that I had as well. And we're so much more powerful together,
Yeah.
right? In that room, there's a group of people who not only want to create change, they've gone through change and they want to implement it and they're not afraid necessarily to actually do it. They just need a little bit of help and they're there to get the help. Where most
Yeah.
people don't even show up for themselves to get the help to make it to that next step. And so now you have all these powerful minds that have come together and imagine the power, depth, and reach of what would be possible if we all combine that. Like even now in the class, when I'm attending, the thing that I've been hearing so much is we're all saying the same thing in like very different ways sometimes, but ultimately it's really the same thing.
Yeah.
And the goals is to help people live well in whatever area it is that we're trying to help people to, you know, in whatever industry or niche or group is just to really have a fulfilled life, you
Yeah.
know. And we have tools like work that gets expressed through. We have hobbies and passions that it gets expressed through with music and creation, right? And the value creation cycle. Money always follows value, and so many people are in the mindset that they need money to create the life they want, and they before they can live authentically, they have to have the money to do it, right? And so
Mhm.
they get into a reverse cycle of kind of the priorities. And then when they get the money, they're not quite ready for it and they don't necessarily know how to handle it often. And then now
Yeah.
we're back on a cycle of the rat race, right?
Yeah.
And having more never be enough.
But what I think makes things powerful, like, I mean, like transformational, like undeniable, is when you're lacing your perspective with the lives and the stories and experiences of other people as well. Because then people can also feel like, oh, he's talking to me or she's talking to me. And I think sometimes I think we become a little disconnected from people when we're giving messages or when we're creating trainings or whatever it is because we don't talk to people like we don't talk to other people not genuinely like hey I'm just gonna hop on a call and meet this person and hear what they have to say and learn about them whether it's something that you agree with them or disagree with because you always end up finding something new about not just that person but about yourself sometimes like you find out what you will allow and won't allow in your life based off of the interactions you have with other people. You know, how many times have you said like, "Oh, I know what I want and don't want in a dating relationship based off of past situations," or "I know the type of leader I want to be based off of bad ones that I've had in the past." And so, like for me, man, like I love doing this stuff because I think it makes us better collectively as a people, as a body, as human being, as a human race. But I also think it is a great way to grow and to open up your mind to things and to hopefully eventually open up your heart to things. We want everyone want to always be on the same page. But I think if you're willing to just hear someone out, maybe not in that moment, you may not agree with them, but maybe that'll allow you to be more empathetic to someone that you lead that thinks similar to the other person that you talked to that you had just disagreed with, right? And so yeah, man, no, I'm just open because that's just me, man. I want to grow, I want to learn, I want to be able to hear people's stories and experiences and all that, man.
Love it. Like I said, I knew that there was commonality and overlap and great opportunity to chat. For me, just being able, like you said, to connect with you and then learn. So like about what it is you want to implement. Like if right now we're in the middle of the year, right? Next 6 months, end of 2025, as a concept. What are you trying to create in your life right now?
Man, that's a good question. For me, it might this might sound a little different from maybe what the average person would answer this with.
I wouldn't
Uh,
expect anything less.
Man, listen, like all I want is I want to just create momentum. That's it. I don't expect to meet all my goals by the end of the year. I don't expect like everything to go perfect. What I want is I want to be able to create momentum so that when things really do pick up steam and people start noticing what's happening, that is just it'll be just so easy for them to hop on their surfboard and ride the wave with us. That's what I want. I want people to feel like it's for them, whether that's my content, whether that's a talk that I'm doing. I just want to build momentum so that there's this understanding that like, hey, you don't have to know who I am. You don't have to know where I come from. You don't have to know anything else about me. All I want you to know at the end of the day is that like you matter and you being here, you can still make a difference. Like it doesn't matter what mistakes you made. It doesn't matter how you talk, how you walk, what your family dynamic was growing up, none of that stuff. I want people to just know like, hey, there are other people just like them that are just trying to get through life and make it, get through the struggle bus, not knowing what's gonna happen to them. So like I just want to build momentum and create spaces where people feel like they can be themselves. That's it.
Have you had experiences where you're creating those spaces yet?
Yeah, honestly, I've had the great opportunity of not just so like I'll do things similar to this where it's like kind of podcast style and I'll just hop on with people and have conversations just for the sake of doing it. Like not necessarily because like hey, we need to make a game plan. We need to get fans. Not even that. Just so like, hey, let's hop on a call and let's just talk. But I've also created that space by also doing what people don't always necessarily think about. If you've ever been to a conference and you see panels where people are talking and the top leaders, the top whatever are giving you advice. I've been doing the reverse. I've been doing panels where essentially the leaders are in the crowd and they have to listen to the people that are the workers so that the leaders can hear our expectations for them as a leader. And so that to me has been a space that I've been super, super proud of that I've been creating because like I think that sometimes leaders can forget that we have to be like approachable and we have to be people that need to have our ears open and people that need to be flexible as well. Sometimes you could think that your role or your position or the amount of money that you make or your rank means that you're automatically going to get respect. It means you're automatically going to get trust, and that's not what that means.
And sometimes automatically deserves it, right? Like
There you go.
that
There
feeling
you
of
go. If
deserving.
anything, as the leader, I feel like I need to earn your trust, then vice versa. Like,
Couldn't agree more, right?
like,
Because ultimately,
yeah,
that whole that servitude, that deservitude, that concept where I have it because I deserve it, always never works out well in any experience I've ever had. Like you
hmm
have to listen to me because I said so, and I deserve to be in the position I'm in because I'm better. It doesn't work out
yeah,
well. It's not
yeah.
true leadership, in my opinion.
No, no, I got you. And you know what's funny? What's funny about just that thought that like, well, they need to earn my trust because like I'm in charge. The funny thing is, you used to be them.
Isn't it
You
amazing? Well,
like,
so, do you have kids?
yeah,
How many?
two,
How old?
8 and 4.
Okay, mine's 7 and 5, so we're right in range, right? We're talking. My wife and I were talking about it. One of the other day, like something happened with my kids. I was like, remember what you were like when you were their age? Same thing, right? And so many parents lose track of that, and I don't quite understand because I remember thinking as a kid, I'm gonna be different when I'm a parent, right? Like I'm not gonna do the things that you didn't like, and then all of a
Right.
sudden you get to be a parent, you're like, I'm gonna do what I know and what I learned, and I'm gonna treat my kid in a way that I never wanted to be treated, just because I associate it with the role I'm supposed to have. I see it all the time in public.
Yep.
People think they're supposed to scold their kid for being loud or for playing, and then they're like, "Don't do that." And it's like, "Yo, the kid is having fun in the toy aisle where toys are because it's the toy thing to do." Like,
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's
no.
it's it's like it's almost like we forget where we came from. Uh and so like the quote that always stays close to me is like, hey, you're never too old to learn, but you're also never too young to lead. And I always keep that with me because sometimes like hearing old and young doesn't necessarily always immediately equate to age. It could just equate to your experience in a particular field.
Yeah,
And sometimes like when you're the least experienced person in the room, you feel like you can't talk or you feel like you can't step up when like you're never too young to lead. Because maybe the skill set you have in that room is different from what your industry is used to, right?
I felt super young and heroic. Like I felt, like I think
Yeah.
you and I were probably the younger ones of the group, and
Yeah.
everybody that are in there, they're all way older. They're talking about things that are 20 years away from, like
Right. With established careers and like
been
yeah.
doing this for 30 years, and I'm like, okay, well, that's cool, but and there's a different side of what's happened in that 30 years,
Yes.
you
Very
know.
much so. Like, yeah, so that's why like for me, I'm very much a person that like I'm happy to be in spaces like that where we can have genuine conversations. And I also want to support leaders in the fact that we don't always train leaders how to lead. We
Most
basically
often actually don't, right?
exactly. So like imagine this, like you've been at this company for let's just say like 7 to 10 years, somewhere in that range. And then people start retiring and you're next up because you're a hot shot. The problem is your 7 to 10 years of experience is as a worker, not
Yeah.
as a leader. So when we hear the quote, like, what got you there won't keep you there, is true. But we also set up our leaders for failure because when they're the workers, the grunt workers, so to speak, we're not mentoring them to get to the next level. We're just essentially like baiting everyone to say like, well, hey, if you work hard enough, you'll get that promotion, you'll get up here. Okay, once they get up there, they still have a worker's mentality. So when they're in charge of people and people can't do things to the level that they did it, it's like, well, why can't you do this? Like, I did it. That's how I got here. It's like, yo, like, but that's
And
where that
maybe that's
comes
not my
from.
track.
Yeah, exactly. That's where that comes from. We don't teach people how to lead effectively. We don't teach people team building and team cohesion and how to build trust. And leaders don't get taught how to delegate.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing, especially like in building my business. The delegation part, I've failed at many times. A lot of it, I reflect back on my lack of ability to integrate my role and maintain my tasks and delegate appropriately in a way that empowered somebody to do the things that they love to do. So what I'm looking for now that I didn't do before was try to put people not in a job with tasks they have to check off, but with roles that fit what they love to do. that I don't have to
Mhm.
check up on them and remind them to do it because they love to do what it is their role is. And now
Yeah.
they're working in a place of their highest values. And so, like, I went through a screening process trying to hire some folks, and I did a little bit of, questions around their highest values and learned about some of the things in their life. And what I find is people have a concept of what their values are. They tend to use words like respect and integrity and these things that businesses put on. Like Enron said integrity and respect. And it's like, yeah, well, that wasn't demonstrated in the way you conducted business. So what difference does it
Right.
make if you say it?
Right.
And so being able to understand, because like there are people like, yeah, well, it came out 20 minutes after asking great questions, well, in 6 months, I'm going to go to nursing school. It's like, okay, that's awesome. But I was just going to take 3 months to train you to then keep you for 3 months to start this over again. Right. And so
Yeah.
that it becomes that screening process of like finding what's in someone's highest values and then be able to delegate those roles to them. And that's worked a lot better for me.
Yeah. So I mean, you're really talking about people's why,
Yeah,
you know?
100%. Like
Yeah.
now work's not work. It's not a matter of I want to retire from this job I can't stand, but it's how do I work? How do I do something that I love and get paid beautifully or handsomely to do so? And then be
Hmm.
able to spread an ever growing amount of value to people, to an ever growing number of people. The more value you create for more people, the more financial wealth that'll come, through. It's just
Yeah.
sometimes there's a delayed effect, right? I was just having
Hmm.
this conversation earlier, and I do got to wrap up because I have a meeting at the top of the hour. But money is stored value, and it's a tool, and it's only exchanged from those who value it less to those who value it more. So,
Hmm.
if you take a simple example, being thirsty, you value the bottle of water more than the dollar, so you pay the dollar to get the water. That's the exchange. Simple, right?
Yeah.
So much stored value is inside of us, and that value is stored because we're not sharing it, which is what you talked about before about content creation. And if we were to actually take all the things that we learned, our mental capital, the things we know, the relationship capital, like you talked about before, the connections and the ability to multiply as a result of touching more lives, and then you combine that with any sort of financial capital to create leverage, the amount of leverage that comes from relationship capital, mental capital far exceeds the money capital. And
Yeah.
if we can actually release the stored value inside of ourselves to share it with an ever growing number of people, the ripple effect of that I've found and the momentum that you're talking about, what I feel in that undertow that I've been talking about, like in my circles, like I feel this under my feet. It's happening, it's coming, and it's not pulling me down, it's lifting me up like a surfer, like you talked
Yeah.
about riding the wave, right?
Yeah.
So that's the stuff that gets me juiced and being able to like help people see that switch to flip to go from that transactional life to that transformational.
I mean, I'd argue, I mean, when you were talking about just the mental emotional piece compared to the financial piece, man, I'd argue if you're good on that piece and you're doing what you're passionate about and you're putting in the work, the money will follow you. Like
100%.
the
Money
money,
always
the
follows
money,
value.
you don't even have to chase it. Like when you're operating in your purpose and what you know to do and you're solving a problem for someone, oh, they'll hand you the money. That like the if I promise you, like there are certain problems if you solve for someone, they'll go, how much?
Yeah. How
Th-
much? How can I pay you and how much?
Yes,
And that's the
exactly.
best thing to be asked when it comes to being. And this is the thing that happens with guilt. People feel guilty and unworthy of a greater amount of money, so they don't increase their cost. They don't increase their value. They don't charge more for their services, and they stay small.
Yeah,
And part of that is a result of not understanding that the only way that someone can actually repay them, can't take them out to dinner. It's not even.
yeah,
Can't send them flowers. It's not an even exchange. It's not an equal, equitable exchange. The only fair exchange that exists in a tool, a mechanism, is to actually say, "Hey, this was so valuable to me. Here's the money that you earned through the work that you provided." And when
yeah,
you show up that way, like you talked about in the very beginning of everything, when you show up that way all the time, you don't have to ask. People are literally giving you the energy, giving you that space to create and to exponentiate.
yeah. And people know when it's genuine too. Like we don't want to miss that part, like the
Yeah.
authenticity part.
You can't
People can
fake it.
tell when you're being genuine, when you actually care about them, when you're actually trying to solve something that's bugging them or solve a problem. So all I would say is like, yeah, go into anything with authenticity too. Don't try to don't be snaky.
Well, it's
Don't be
interesting. So many people don't know how, like they want to live their authentic life. Like I know I wasn't on social media up until a couple of years ago, and I see it all the time. It's like be your authentic self, but then like people are acting out of their values and they're doing it because they think that's the path because they see other people doing things that they are getting this exterior influence from, this injection. And that's where incongruence comes. That's where misalignment happens, you know? So,
Well, that's why they can't stand out. Like you can't stand out being a chameleon.
yeah,
Like
can't stand out being a chameleon. That's right. Can't be blending in and standing out at the same time.
facts.
Well, Mike, loved our opportunity to chat. I would say that I'd be more than willing to do it again if it's something that you think would be fun and valuable. And then, of course, any ways that we can collaborate and spread again,
Yeah,
exponentiate, right? Expand. That's really
for
what
sure.
my that expand and generational have been the words of the week for me right now. So
Good words.
yeah, thanks. Love to share those with you and invite you to reach out to me anytime. I'd love to keep it going.
Absolutely. Hey, no, I appreciate you reaching out and us having the opportunity to just chop it up, man.
For sure. Well, let's do it again soon, man. And I love to learn some stories about your time in the Air Force and you know how ultimately you weren't always Sarge. So I want to know about pre-Sarge.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah, we'll definitely catch up.
All right, man. Sounds good. Take it easy.
All right, you too.
Peace.